Your kindness is killing you deep down. You know it? Every time you say, I is it, when you mean no, every time you swallow your truth to keep the peace, every time you put someone else's comfort above your own survival, you're not just being nice, you're being complicit in your own destruction. The most dangerous lie kind people tell themselves is that their suffering somehow makes them more virtuous, that their sacrifice somehow makes them more worthy, when in reality it's this very martyrdom that keeps them trapped in cycles of manipulation and abuse, becoming unwitting enablers in a system that profits from their silence. The kindest hearts often carry the heaviest burdens. Look around this room. Some of you are nodding because you feel it deep in your soul, that constant weight of giving everything you have, yet somehow ending up with empty hands and a tired spirit. You're the one everyone calls when they need help, the shoulder everyone cries on, the person who drops everything to be there for others. And yet, something feels missing. Let me tell you a profound truth that might shake the very foundation of what you believe. Your kindness isn't the problem. It's how the world has taught you to express it that's keeping you stuck. Society has sold us a dangerous lie. That being kind means always saying yes. That putting yourself last somehow makes you a better person. This couldn't be further from the truth. What if I told you that your generosity, that beautiful, boundless desire to help others, is actually the key to everything you want in life? But right now, it's like trying to pour water from an empty cup. You keep giving and giving, hoping that somehow, someday, it will all come back to you. But it doesn't work that way, does it? The universe doesn't respond to your kindness. It responds to your energy. When you consistently put yourself last, you're not just making a choice about your priorities. You're broadcasting a powerful message about your worth. And here's the painful truth that we need to face. The world will treat you exactly how you teach it to treat you. There's a story about a woman who spent her entire life being the good one. She never complained, always helped, constantly put others first. She was the first to arrive when someone needed help and the last to leave. She prided herself on being selfless. But one day, sitting alone in her empty house, surrounded by thank you cards, but feeling utterly depleted, she realized something that changed everything. She had become so good at taking care of others that she had forgotten how to take care of herself. This isn't just her story. It's the story of countless kind souls who have bought into the myth that self-sacrifice equals virtue. But here's what nobody tells you about kindness as boundaries. Real kindness is strength. Real kindness starts with being kind to yourself. Think about that for a moment. When was the last time you showed yourself the same compassion you show others? When did you last protect your dreams with the same fierce energy you use to protect others' feelings? When did you last say no without feeling guilty? Your kindness is like a river, powerful, life-giving, and essential. But a river without banks isn't a river, it's a flood. It destroys everything in its path, including itself. Your kindness needs banks, boundaries that give it direction and purpose. Without these boundaries, you're not serving others. You're slowly drowning yourself. The world is full of people walking around with invisible wounds, carrying the weight of unreturned favors, unappreciated efforts, and unacknowledged sacrifices. They smile through their pain, say yes when they want to say no, and slowly die inside while trying to keep everyone else alive. They've confused kindness with martyrdom, and it's costing them their lives. Here's what happens when you practice kindness without boundaries. Your dreams start gathering dust. Your energy becomes depleted. Your light, that beautiful, unique light that only you can shine, starts dimming. And the worst part? The people around you get used to your self-sacrifice. They start expecting it. Your kindness becomes their comfort zone, and your dreams become up. But what if there was another way? What if you could be kind and strong, generous and boundaried? What if taking care of yourself first isn't selfish, but the most responsible thing you can do for everyone who depends on you? Every time you say yes to something you don't really want to do, you're saying no to something you truly care about. Every time you put your dreams on hold to solve someone else's problems, you're telling the universe that your dreams don't matter. Every time you accept less than you deserve, you're training people to give you less than you deserve. The transformation begins when you realize that being kind doesn't mean being available 24/7. It doesn't mean saying yes to everything. It doesn't mean putting your life on hold while you fix everyone else's problems. True kindness, the kind that changes lives and moves mountains, comes from a place of self-respect and inner strength. Right now, someone in this room is feeling a deep stirring in their soul. Because deep down, something needs to change. You're tired of being the strong one who's secretly breaking inside. Tired of giving so much of yourself that there's nothing left at the end of the day. Let's talk about what real strength looks like. True strength isn't about how much you can carry. It's about knowing what to put down. Every time you say it's fine when it's not fine, every time you swallow your truth to keep the peace, you're not being kind. You're being dishonest. Not just with others, but with yourself. Let me share something powerful about the nature of energy. When you constantly suppress your own needs, that energy doesn't disappear. It transforms. It becomes resentment, exhaustion, and sometimes even illness. Your body keeps the score of every time you've said yes, when your soul was screaming no. Think about relationships in your life right now. How many of them are truly reciprocal? How many people in your life give as much as they take? More importantly, how many of these relationships started with you setting the precedent that your needs come last? You see, we often believe we're doing others a favor by always being available, always saying yes, always putting their needs first. But here's the uncomfortable truth. We're actually doing them a disservice. We're teaching them that it's okay to take without giving. We're showing them that our boundaries don't matter. We're demonstrating that our dreams are less important than their convenience. The most profound act of kindness you can show the world is to be authentically yourself. Not the version of you that always agrees, always accommodates, always puts others first, but the real you with all your desires, your boundaries, and yes, even your occasional need to say no. When you start treating yourself with respect, something remarkable happens. And the people who truly value you will adjust. They'll start respecting your boundaries. They'll appreciate your yes more because they know it's genuine. And those who don't, those who get angry when you start taking care of yourself, they're showing you exactly why you needed boundaries in the first place. Let's talk about the guilt, that heavy, suffocating feeling that creeps in every time you consider putting yourself first. That voice that whispers, but what will they think? What if they need me? What if they get upset? That guilt isn't your friend. It's not protecting you. It's protecting a pattern that's keeping you small. What if your happiness, your dreams, your well-being were just as important as everyone else's? Not more important, equally important. How would that change the way you live your life? How would that transform your relationships? The world needs your kindness. But it needs your kindness coming from a place of wholeness, not depletion. It needs your generosity flowing from a full cup, not wrung from an empty spirit. It needs your light shining at full brightness, not dimmed, and it starts small. The next time someone asks something of you, take a breath before answering. Check in with yourself. Is this something you genuinely want to do, or are you saying yes out of habit, out of fear, out of guilt? Your time, your energy, your peace of mind, these are precious resources. Start treating them that way. Every time you honor your own boundaries, you're teaching others how to honor them too. Every time you take care of yourself, you're showing others that self-care is not selfish, it's necessary. Every time you stand in your truth, you're giving others permission to do the same. The kind of kindness that changes the world isn't the kind that depletes you. It's the kind that emanates naturally from a well-nourished soul. When you're truly taking care of yourself, kindness isn't a sacrifice. It's an overflow. It's not something you do at the expense of yourself. It's something that enriches both you and others. Your sensitivity, your desire to help others, your big heart, these are superpowers. But like any power, they need to be directed wisely. You wouldn't let your garden hose run freely, spraying water in all directions. You direct it where it's needed most. Your kindness needs the same intentional direction. Something shifts in the atmosphere when you finally understand that your worth isn't measured by how much you give away. The room feels different when you grasp that putting yourself first isn't an act of selfishness. It's an act of wisdom. That uncomfortable feeling you're experiencing right now, that's your old beliefs being challenged. That's growth happening. Many of us learned early in life that our value is tied to what we could do for others. We became experts at reading rooms, anticipating needs, and solving problems before they even arose. We became emotional architects, building safe spaces, for everyone else while living in our own emotional basements. Here's a truth that might feel like a splash of cold water. Most people who take advantage of kind people aren't bad people. They're simply responding to the dynamic we've created. When we consistently place their comfort above our own needs, we're not just making a choice for ourselves, we're establishing a pattern that becomes increasingly difficult to break. Consider your daily interactions. How often do you apologize for things that aren't your fault? How frequently do you compromise your own comfort to maintain peace? How many times do you dim your light because someone else might feel uncomfortable with your shine? The most profound change begins when you start treating your own presence in your life as essential, not optional. When you begin to understand that taking care of yourself isn't something you do after everything else is done. It's what enables you to do everything else effectively. Let's talk about love for a moment. Real love, the kind that transforms lives, doesn't demand that you shrink yourself. It doesn't require you to silence your truth. It doesn't ask you to sacrifice your dreams on the altar of other people's comfort. If you're constantly shrinking to make relationships work, those aren't relationships. Your ability to care deeply is beautiful. Your desire to help others is admirable. But these qualities were never meant to be your prison. They were meant to be your wings. When you learn to balance giving to others with giving to yourself, you don't become less kind. You become more authentic. Think about the oxygen mask principle we discussed earlier. Now let's expand that metaphor. Your life force, your energy, your dreams, your peace of mind, that's your oxygen. Every time you give it away before securing your own supply, you're not just hurting yourself. You're diminishing your capacity to truly help others in meaningful, sustainable. The world doesn't need more martyrs. It needs more whole, healthy, vibrant souls who understand that true service comes from abundance, not scarcity. When you're running on empty, your kindness becomes a burden, both to you and ultimately to those you're trying to help. Setting boundaries isn't about building walls. It's about installing doors, all doors that you control. You get to decide when they're open and when they're closed. You get to choose who gets to walk through and under what circumstances. The people who genuinely care about you will respect these doors. They'll understand that your yes means more because you're also capable of saying no. They'll value your time more because they know it's given by choice, not by obligation. And those who push against your boundaries, those who try to make you feel guilty for taking care of yourself, they're showing you exactly why those boundaries were necessary in the first place. Their resistance is not your responsibility to manage. Your journey forward requires courage. The courage to disappoint people, the courage to be temporarily misunderstood, the courage to put yourself first sometimes. This isn't selfish, it's sacred. It's not self-centered, it's self-honoring. Start noticing the subtle ways you abandon yourself. The small compromises that seem insignificant in the moment but pile up over time. The quiet voice inside that gets ignored because someone else's voice is louder. These moments are your invitations to practice self-honoring kindness. When you begin to value yourself as much as you value others, your entire world shifts. Your relationships become more authentic because they're based on truth, not obligation. Your giving becomes more meaningful because it comes from choice, not compulsion. Your kindness becomes more powerful because it flows from strength, not fear. The path ahead requires more than just understanding, and it demands action. Every cell in your body might resist what I'm about to share because it goes against everything you've been programmed to believe. But truth has a way of resonating in your soul even when your mind fights against it. The most radical act of self-care isn't saying no to others. It's saying yes to yourself, yes to your dreams, yes to your boundaries, yes to your own inner wisdom. Every time you've ignored that quiet voice inside, you've betrayed not just yourself, but the unique gift you were meant to bring to this world. Let's be absolutely clear about something. And there's a profound difference between being needed and being valued. Being needed can become an addiction, a dangerous one that keeps you tethered to relationships and situations that drain your soul. Being valued, on the other hand, means being appreciated for who you are, not just what you can do for others. Your worth isn't measured in tasks completed, favors granted, or sacrifices made. Your worth is intrinsic. It exists independent of what you do for others. This simple truth, once truly embraced, will revolutionize how you move through the world. Think about the relationships in your life that drain you. Notice how these people often have a way of making their emergencies your responsibilities. Their poor planning becomes your urgent problem. Their emotional storms become your weather to manage. This stops today. Take out your phone right now. Look at your recent messages. How many of them are from people asking for something? How many are just checking on your well-being? How many conversations are balanced exchanges versus one-sided emotional withdrawals from your energy bank? The people who truly love you want you to thrive, not just survive. They want to see you soar, not just serve. If someone claims to care about you but gets uncomfortable when you start taking care of yourself, that's not love. That's control disguised as concern. Your sensitivity, that beautiful ability to feel deeply and care profoundly, was never meant to be your weakness. It's your superpower, but like any power, it needs to be channeled properly. Uncontrolled electricity is dangerous. Your sensitivity, properly channeled, can light up lives. Start practicing what I call conscious kindness. This means being kind with awareness, with intention, with boundaries. Before you say yes to anything, ask yourself 3 questions. Do I really want to do this? Do I have the energy for this? Will this nurture or drain me? Your time is a non-renewable resource. Every minute you spend trying to fix someone else's life is a minute you're not investing in your own growth, your own dreams, your own purpose. This isn't selfish thinking. It's responsible living. Not everyone deserves your time, your energy, or your kindness. Some people are emotional vampires who have learned to disguise their demands as needs. They've mastered the art of making you feel guilty for not meeting their endless expectations. I thought you were my friend. If you really cared, I guess I'll just handle it myself. These are manipulation tactics, not genuine expressions of need. They're designed to bypass your boundaries and activate your guilt. I understand you're disappointed, but I need to take care of myself too. No explanations needed. No detailed justifications required. Your need for self-care is reason enough. And every time you say yes, when you want to say no, you're not just betraying yourself. You're teaching others that your boundaries don't matter. You're showing them that your needs are negotiable. You're demonstrating that your peace of mind is less important than their convenience. The transformation begins when you start treating yourself as someone worthy of protection, someone whose dreams matter, someone whose peace of mind is a priority, not an afterthought. This isn't about becoming less kind. It's about becoming more authentic. Your capacity to give should come from your overflow, not your reserves. Think of yourself as a cup. You can't serve others from an empty cup, and you certainly can't serve them by draining yourself dry. The goal is to keep your cup so full that giving becomes effortless because you start small. Practice saying, I need to think about it, instead of an immediate yes. Notice how people react when you don't immediately jump to help. Some will respect your boundaries, others will push harder, revealing their true color. Both responses are valuable information. Your energy is sacred, your time is precious, your peace of mind is non-negotiable. These aren't just nice ideas, they're essential truths that need to become the foundation of how you operate in the world. When you truly embrace these principles, you'll find that your kindness becomes more powerful. The world needs your kindness, yes, but it needs your kindness coming from a place of strength, not depletion. It needs your generosity flowing from abundance, not scarcity. It needs your light shining at full brightness, not dim to make others comfortable. The journey of reclaiming your power while maintaining your kindness isn't easy. There will be people who don't understand. There will be those who try to make you feel guilty. There will be moments when you question yourself. This is all part of the process. But here's what happens when you stay the course. Your relationships become more authentic. Your energy levels rise. Your dreams start manifesting. Most importantly, your kindness becomes a choice rather than a compulsion. And that's when your true power emerges. Every journey of transformation reaches a crucial moment. The moment where understanding must become action. Today marks that moment for you. You've learned about the patterns that have kept you trapped, understood the dynamics that have drained your energy, and recognized the beliefs that have limited your growth. Now it's time to transform that knowledge into lived experience. Remember, you're not changing who you are at your core. This transformation isn't about becoming less compassionate or less caring. It's about directing your kindness with wisdom, giving from a place of strength rather than depletion. Think of it as upgrading your operating system while keeping your essential programming intact. Your worth exists independently of what you do for others. This truth might feel uncomfortable at first, like a new shoe that hasn't yet molded to your foot. You might find yourself questioning whether you're being selfish, whether you're still a good person, if you're not constantly available to others. These doubts are normal. They're the echoes of old programming, not accurate reflections of reality. When you start setting boundaries, you'll notice something interesting happening. Some relationships will feel temporarily unstable, like a boat rocking in new waters. People who are used to your unlimited availability might express confusion or even resistance. This reaction isn't about you. It's about them adjusting to a healthier dynamic. Your sensitivity to others' needs isn't going away. Instead, it's being refined, becoming more sophisticated. You're learning to distinguish between genuine emergencies that require your intervention and situations where your stepping back allows others to grow. This discernment is a skill, and like any skill, it improves with practice. Consider your energy as a precious resource, like clean water in a desert. When you treat it as infinite, you do a disservice not only to yourself, but to everyone you aim to help. True sustainability comes from understanding that your energy needs to be carefully managed, thoughtfully distributed, and regularly replenished. The world needs your kindness, but it needs your kindness coming from a place of wholeness. When you give from obligation, you create subtle resentment that colors your interactions. When you give from authenticity, you create a different kind of energy, one that uplifts both you and the recipient. The difference might seem subtle at first, but over time, it becomes profound. Your empathy is a superpower, but like any power, it needs to be directed wisely. When you learn to balance giving with receiving, helping with resting, caring for others with caring for yourself, you become truly unstoppable. This balance isn't achieved overnight. It's a practice, a daily choice, a continuous recalibration. As you move forward, you'll encounter moments of doubt, times when the old patterns feel safer, more familiar. Moments when the path of least resistance seems to be slipping back into people-pleasing behaviors. These moments aren't failures. They're opportunities to practice your new way of being. Start viewing self-care, not as a luxury, but as a fundamental responsibility. Just as you wouldn't expect a car to run without fuel, you cannot sustainably give from an empty well. Your commitment to self-care directly impacts your capacity to help others effectively. The quality of your giving is directly proportional to the quality of your self-care. Watch for the subtle ways your old patterns try to reassert themselves. Notice when you're tempted to override your own needs in favor of others' comfort. Pay attention to the small compromises that seem insignificant in the moment but accumulate over time. Each of these moments is an invitation to choose differently. Your journey forward isn't about becoming someone else. It's about becoming more fully yourself. It's about understanding that true kindness includes being kind to yourself. It's about recognizing that your needs matter just as much as anyone else's. This isn't selfish. It's sacred. It's not self-centered. It's self-honoring. The transformation you seek happens in small moments. It's in the pause before saying yes. It's in the gentle no that honors your limits. It's in the quiet moments when you choose yourself, even when it feels uncomfortable. These small choices compound over time, creating massive change in your life and relationships. Those who genuinely care for you will celebrate your growth. They'll respect your boundaries because they want you to thrive. The ones who resist your evolution are showing you exactly why these changes are necessary. Their discomfort with your healthy boundaries is not your responsibility to manage. Your light doesn't need to dim for others to shine. Your success doesn't need to shrink for others to grow. Your needs don't need to be sacrificed for others to be met. There's room for everyone's light when we all shine at our full, bright. Go forward knowing that your journey toward balanced kindness is not just for you. It's for everyone whose lives you touch. Trust that as you learn to honor yourself, your capacity to truly help others will grow, not diminish. Remember that your light shines brightest when you're not burning yourself to keep others warm. This is your moment. This is your beginning. This is your permission to be both kind and strong, both generous and boundaried, both caring and complete. The world is waiting for your authentic kindness, the kind that comes from a full cup, not an empty one. Step forward with courage, with clarity, and with the unshakable knowledge that your kindness, when balanced with self-respect, is one of the most powerful forces for good in this world. This is not the end of your story. It's the beginning of your truth.